Gentlemen and ladies, you are welcome to this, I may call it emergency press conference. This was precipitated by developments that occurred late yesterday, and of course it was this morning that people started hearing what transpired in Kano yesterday. So I'm going to read the text of the press conference I'm going to do here today. And we've captioned it, "Ignore PDP lies. Dr. Otti was not sacked by any court of law." The report being sponsored and widely circulated by the PDP and Abia State government alleging that a Kano High Court has sacked the Abia governor-elect, Dr. Otti OFR, is baseless, unfounded, and misleading, and thus should be ignored. For the records, though the perpetrators targeted the Abia governor-elect and the people of Abia State for that legal coup, they were not courageous enough to confront him in the open. Hence, he was never joined in the suit, for fear that his eminently qualified lawyers would take the perpetrators to the cleaners. To put the record straight and reassure our teeming supporters and millions of Abians who are still celebrating the liberation of Abia, we wish to emphatically state as follows: that the Federal High Court in Kano did not issue any order on Abia Labour Party candidates, nor the governor-elect Dr. Otti, because, unlike those who brought the suit to steal the Abia people's mandate, the court was conscious of its powers and careful not to fall into the boo-boo trap set for it by the PDP and Abia State government. To that effect, the court specifically stated in clause 9 of the judgment, thus, the candidates that participated in the election in Abia State are not parties before this court, and as such, the court lacks the jurisdiction to make an order for the issuance of certificate of return to them. This has clearly answered the question of alleged sack of Dr. Otti. There was no order to that effect. The Federal High Court in Abia had entertained similar cases as pre-election matters involving some PDP candidates versus Labour Party candidates, and the matters were adjudicated up to the Supreme Court. In all the cases, Labour Party won at the Federal High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court, respectively. The case brought by the petitioners is a pre-election matter, and under Section 285, Sub 4A of the Electoral Act, the petitioners have no locus standi as they were not aspirants in LP. Section 285, Sub 9 requires that it must be filed within 14 days of the occurrence of the event. In other words, the suit should have been filed before the end of June last year. On the contrary, the suit was filed on May 11, 2023, and a week later, the very efficient judge delivered judgment. Efficient in parentheses. That is very important to be noted, that the suit was filed last week, filed on the 11th of May, and within 7 days, judgment was delivered. We've never heard that before. Like earlier stated, the Federal High Court in Kano does not have jurisdiction over Abia State. Therefore, it is impossible for any decision emanating from the court to have effect on Dr. Otti, who was not a party to the suit in Kano. It therefore exposes PDP's gullibility to have expected the court to make an order against Dr. Otti, an action that would have incurred the wrath of the Nigeria National Judicial Council, the NJC. For purposes of further elucidation, Dr. Otti became the governorship candidate of Labour Party on 9 June 2022. Then any pre-election litigation questioning his candidacy must have been commenced not later than 14 days from 9 June to 2022, meaning the case must have been filed not later than 23rd June 2022. Any case filed not later than 23rd June 2022 must be determined not later than 180 days from the date of filing. Again, assuming it was filed on the 23rd of June 2022, 180 days timeline terminated on the 20th of December 2022. Finally, we would like to assure Abians in particular and Nigerians in general that the nationally celebrated mandate given to Dr. Alex Otti by the long sovereign Abian masses is safe and secure and can never be stolen by strange usurpers who are pained and frightened by the reality of their imminent exit from power in the next few days. In the next few days, Dr. Alex Otti will be sworn in as governor to enable him commence the process of rebuilding and recovering our state that was destroyed and plundered by the PDP. So Abians are enjoined to ignore the fake reports claiming that he has been sacked by a Kano High Court. Of course, Abia is free, indeed. Signed, Ferdinand Ekoma, Special Advisor, Media and Publicity to Dr. Alex Otti, the Abia government-elect.
Can I ask, you made a lot of references to PDP. Are they party to that?
They were the ones behind the suits. They were the ones behind the suits. And we've got the facts. They were the ones circulating, sending it to people. They were the ones behind it. We are very much aware. We've got details. We've got facts to substantiate our claims. When the time comes, if it becomes necessary, we'll do that. We are very sure of what we are saying. We know where the whole thing was initiated, where it was started, how the journey, how it was executed. It started from Abia and landed in Kano. So we know what we are saying. We've got the facts.
Thank you.
And anyway, like we clearly stated here, I'm sure some of us we are aware that the PDP filed similar suits in Abia here. For example, in the case of Chief ACB Abazwere versus Honorable Jinja Musibe, it was adjudicated up to the Supreme Court. And the PDP candidate lost both at the Federal High Court, Court of Appeal, and at the Supreme Court. And all the issues that were raised in the Jankara judgment in Kano, we also raised there. They were all those issues were what found the basis for that litigation against Honorable Jinja Musibe. And he won up to the Supreme Court. That case was handled by Chief Umekale SAN. So the facts are very clear. They don't have anything. Of course, they don't have anything to say.
Was there any Labour Party funds at court?
Absolutely not. This was a coup, and just like I stated here, the suit was brought on the 11th of May 2023, and yesterday we saw a judgment flying up and down. This is unprecedented in our history. This is highly mysterious and very questionable. A case as sensitive as such should have had the defendants properly served. All the people that were involved ought to have been served. It will give them that opportunity to bring their lawyers to defend themselves. But like I stated, these guys are afraid, having seen that this case had been litigated up to the Supreme Court. So if the people they wanted to secure judgment against had been joined properly, it would have given them the platform to argue, to defend themselves and cite the necessary authorities. They would have made reference to previous judgments that were given, especially the one delivered by the Supreme Court. And of course, the High Court cannot give any judgment that can override what has been decided by the Supreme Court. The precedent is what is common in law. Those who are in law know that better. So, and we laymen also are aware that there is no judgment the High Court can give that can, be superior to that of the Supreme Court. And that's a fact. And we did also state that even assuming that what they claimed, that we did not, our register was not submitted to INEC, that the names, all the things they claimed that needed to, all the pre-election, because these are pre-election issues, as stated here, were not actually done. But the Court of Appeal, especially the Court of Appeal, in the case of Alliance People's Party versus P2B, the Appeal Court held that those people lacked the grounds lacked the local standing to have brought the suit because ab initio they were not members of Labour Party. And again, appeal court did state that the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria is supreme, and in the Constitution, grounds, or what do you call it, requirements for qualification for election or otherwise have been clearly stated. So whatever you are trying to impute cannot, and it goes contrary to what the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has stated, will become a nullity. So it has been settled. There was no basis for them to have commenced this action. We expect, because if you look at the last paragraph of this Kano High Court, I'm sure you could see that even the judge that delivered the judgment was very careful, and that was how they were deceived. The judge was careful not to issue any order against Alex Otti, against Labour Party Abia State, because he doesn't have the powers to do so. And if he had done so, possibly he would have incurred the wrath of NJC. So let them return to Abia and fight their suit if they believe they have any case against us.
Okay, sorry. Thank you. Sorry, I have a question. So, since you've established the fact that that judgment did not follow due process, are you going to petition probably the NJC based on the rascality of the judge on that matter?
Are you appealing?
No, you can't appeal a judgment that doesn't have any effect on you. It doesn't have any effect on us, so we can't appeal anything. It doesn't have a, we are not parties to it. No consequential order was made against us. So the issue of appeal would have, come up if there was. I'm coming. You understand? Then the only issue of petition, of course, our team of lawyers will put heads together and take the necessary actions, because some people must be tamed for the society to be sanitized. Okay?
My question. Go ahead.
Somebody has a question.
The PDP says that the Labour Party is actually very jittery. The judgment has come from Kano. And now the argument here is, if the Labour Party feels it does not hold water, why is it raising tension among the political parties?
Abia was mentioned there. The target was Dr. Alex Otti. Abia was mentioned there. If we were not mentioned, if our party was not mentioned, we would not have bothered. And then here, our opponents here, those that were roundly defeated, in the March governorship election, have been all over the social media, electronic media, print media, to make noise, to insinuate, to sponsor press releases and publications and announcements purporting to have, sacked, purporting that Dr. Lesoti has been sacked. And we are trying to put the record straight. We are not doing what we are doing here today. We've not gathered these gentlemen of the press here because we are panicking, because we are afraid, because we want to explain anything to anybody. But we need to put the record straight. We need to disabuse the members of the public, because we would want you to also pass the message across. All of you live here, we know, by airing it on radio, publishing in the newspapers, on television, all those who may have been misled, all those who are frightened, because we are not actually at the receiving end of whatever Jankaran judgment anybody is bringing. The suffering Abian masses who have been plundered, who have been destroyed, who have been oppressed over the years, are the ones that are, panicking. They are the ones panicking, and we need to reassure them that there is no cause for alarm, that everything is in order, that Alex Otti is here, and that is going to be sworn in on the 29th of May, 2023.